I don't think it's unfair to say that Deku as a protagonist and as a hero is pretty unique in his own right. When I first watched My Hero Academia, one of the driving forces this show excels on, as well as the themes that this series conveys, such as believing in oneself for greatness regardless of the background or environment they live in, or striving to achieve your dreams even if other people tell you it's ridiculous or unachievable, took a physical manifestation in the form of Deku, the protagonist of this series. Themes such as not giving up or always following your dreams are not that uncommon in anime. Heck, you could probably find a handful of series that convey that message the same way that My Hero Academia does, especially in shonen anime. So then, why is it that My Hero Academia uses that same exact concept and message, yet uses it on a different light? And why is it that Deku as a protagonist takes those values and uses them to define himself as a unique hero? Why is it that it's so gratifying and heart-wrenching to watch this young boy who dreamed of becoming a great hero one day and save people as a symbol of hope like a superhero idol, walking on his journey step by step and seeing him grow throughout his development? My Hero Academia is a series that I can say for sure is one of my favorite series in anime, but also because of the one character who exemplifies the heart and soul on what a hero really means, and that character is Izuku Midoriya. If this video is going to explain on why I think Deku is an interesting and unique protagonist, then it's only fair that it should be explained how he started his journey in the first place, as well as how his upbringing and background played a role in his development throughout the story. In the world of My Hero Academia, the majority of human beings are born with special abilities, or become superpowered individuals because of these special abilities called quirks. Because of this, concepts and ideas like superheroes and supervillains become a real thing in this world society. Heroes in particular are viewed as celebrities and public servants by the people, and almost everyone in this world is born with a quirk since they were young. We are then introduced to the main protagonist of the series, Izuku Midoriya, a young boy who looks up to heroes and dreams of becoming a hero of justice one day like his superhero idol, All Might. For Deku, All Might represented everything a hero should be. Someone with so much power and charisma who represented true peace and justice in the world, always wearing a smile on his face and becoming a symbol for all that is right and good in humanity. To Deku, All Might was the type of hero he wanted to aspire to become one day, a hero who not only saved people, but a symbol of what true heroism stood for. Which is why when it's revealed that Deku was born without a quirk and had no powers hidden deep inside him, it becomes all the more crushing for him when he realizes his dream of becoming a hero seems shattered in an instant. This to me marks one of the most interesting things about Izuku. From the very beginning of this series, a few things are made very clear about Izuku as a character. For one, he wasn't born with any special power or abilities, and is part of the minority of the population who are quirkless, and almost everyone views him as nothing special and a failure. He doesn't come from any special family lineage, and he doesn't possess power deep within him that is just waiting to come out like in any other shonen series. He's just a regular kid who dreams of becoming great like his hero one day. This was an aspect of his character that I found really interesting with Izuku. The fact that this protagonist lives in a world of superpowered individuals and where fantasy spectacles like heroes are a reality, yet he isn't superpowered himself, really differentiated him from other shonen protagonists. If we compare Izuku to some of the most other popular shonen heroes in other series, such as Naruto and Luffy, we see that what separates him from these two characters are his origins and his own backgrounds that began his own development. For Naruto and Luffy, they both came from special lineages or bloodlines that made their characters special in the eyes of everyone around them. Naruto was the son of the 4th Hokage and the descendant and reincarnation of a legendary ninja from the past. And Luffy was the son of a famous revolutionist and shared an initial that was synonymous for people that would bring a huge change in the world. But for Deku, a character who doesn't come from any special family and was never born with powers or abilities, was forced to face the realization that in the eyes of the world around him, he was nothing special. This is made evident in the fact that in the beginning, we see almost every other character he interacts with discouraging him from his dream of becoming a hero one day. He's treated as a laughingstock from his peers. He's constantly being antagonized by Bakugo, who ridicules him when he hears how he wants to become a hero. And even his own mother didn't believe he will be able to achieve his dream one day. In Deku's eyes, he realized that if no one was going to believe in him or his dream, he would have to work hard just as much in order to make it a reality. That even if he wasn't born with any quirk, if he just persists like his hero All Might, he'd be able to prove society wrong and become a hero. However, it's his first meeting with All Might, a man whom he looks up to as his #1 hero, that Deku almost lost any hope of achieving his dream one day. As he was hoping to hear some words of encouragement telling him that if he works hard enough, if he tries hard enough, he'll be able to become a hero. Instead, he's given a cold and harsh reply of the reality that someone without a quirk could never hope to become one, and that while his dreams and goals are admirable, it's also unrealistic, and that he should strive to become something only he is capable of doing. What makes this scene so interesting is that in usual anime stories, you would find the main character hears some words of wisdom to never abandon their goals or to always keep moving forward so that they could follow their dreams and achieve them one day. But here, the complete opposite happens. As we see All Might, a hero who Deku always looked up to as a child as the symbol of what any hero should strive to become, telling him that his dreams are unachievable and that there's almost nothing he can do about it. As the audience, we know that this is only the start of Deku's story and know that sooner or later he'll continue on his journey on becoming a hero. But it's this instance where we see him becoming constantly beaten down by the environment around him and being told that his dreams are nothing more than unachievable, as well as hearing all of this from his all-time hero, really becomes something difficult to see but also something truly relatable. In real life, most people would scoff at the idea of an individual aspiring to become something else than what society has intended for them. If what you are aspiring to become looks unrealistic based on your own merits and potential that have basically reached a glass ceiling, and there's no point in continuing on that path of what you want to become, then in the eyes of society, you're just wasting your time and only setting yourself up for failure and disappointment. It was a reality that Deku was afraid to acknowledge, and it's something people in real life have a constant worry and fear in the back of their minds, that your determination and hard work mean nothing. Your aspirations are worthless if you weren't born with the power to achieve them in the beginning. You'll never be anything than what life has given you and you should just accept that. However, just as he was about to give up on his dream, the sight of Bakugo in danger and his life in peril prompted Deku to action when no other hero would. Not even All Might. As one of the most important moments in his development in the story, what I think was most important about this scene was how it was this moment that cemented Deku's starting line to becoming a hero he dreamed about as a child, as well as understanding his own nature and moral compass that has become a synonymous philosophy that he has followed throughout the story. That no matter what the circumstances, a hero's main responsibility is to help anyone in need regardless of the consequences. That regardless of what anyone has said about him and how much people try to bring him down, he still has a selfless need and desire to help anyone in danger, especially if they are crying out for help. It was this aspect of Deku's character that forced All Might to acknowledge him as someone worthy of the name hero, but also someone worthy enough to inherit his power, one for all.
Young man, I came here to thank you. If you hadn't told me about your life, if you hadn't run into that fight, I would have been a worthless bystander watching from the crowd. You told me you didn't have a power, so when I saw this timid, quirkless boy try to save a life, it inspired me to act too.
One thing I really enjoyed about Deku's character, and one thing that I thought was an important aspect of his development, was his relationship with All Might. As they share a sort of master and student relationship, All Might serves as Deku's sole motivation and anchor to his dream of becoming a hero. This is accompanied by the fact that All Might trusted him enough to inherit his powers and have him take up the mantle of becoming the #1 hero one day. For Deku, it's his determination to prove not only to All Might, but to himself that he is worthy of inheriting his power and take up his mantle one day. So much so that he is willing to go through months of hellish training to be able to acquire All for One's power. And even more so that he is willing to put his body in brutal conditions depending on the situation that he is faced with, as it's his teachings and guidance that flow through Deku throughout the story and becomes a main source of his aspiration and goals. To be able to master his quirk one day and fully inherit All Might's powers of One for All, but also to carry out the responsibilities of becoming the next symbol of peace and becoming the hero that can surpass his predecessors before him. One for All isn't just an ability that gives its users enhanced strength and ability. but it also serves as a mantle for those who acquire it to become a symbol of justice for all to rally behind. But more importantly, to set an example of what true heroism really means. Being selfless in the face of adversity, self-sacrificing yourself for the greater good, setting examples of true human compassion and courageousness that people can look up to and follow behind, so that they can follow through those examples as well. It's why All Might is such an influential figure in the world and why everyone looks up to him as the #1 hero. Not only because he is one of the strongest heroes to date, but because he is the one figure that exemplifies what a true hero really means. It's those same values and beliefs that was engraved into Deku since he was young that made him worthy to inherit One for All in All Might's eyes. What makes Deku such an inspirational and interesting character to rally behind is that at his core, like All Might, what makes him a hero isn't from his quirk, but from his empathetic nature and his selfless desire to help people in need. Deku saw heroes as figures that were the embodiment of everything good and wonderful people could be capable of, being able to make a difference when all seemed lost and become a great positive influence in the lives of people. This belief and mantra is etched into Deku's core beliefs and moral values so deep that it's one of the main reasons why All Might saw him as a worthy successor for the powers of One for All. Because, as the name implies, it's a power given to those who serves for the betterment of all individuals, not just for one person. It's why All Might had told Deku that while his quirk is being given to him, it was his own conviction and hard work that made him become recognized as someone worthy to carry on his will. And I think there's something to be said about that kind of lesson. Having acquired something just because you were lucky, and being given something because of recognition and being viewed for one's own hard work are two completely different things. What really matters is that you stood by your own beliefs and morals, all the while working hard and never giving up those core values. It's these similarities that both All Might and Deku share that make their relationship interesting and heartwarming. All Might sees someone who has the ability to surpass him one day and wishes to groom him into the best hero he can be. Deku sees All Might as an inspiration that he looks up to and will do anything to live up to his expectations as a hero. And it's this dedication that serves as Deku's greatest strength of will, but also his greatest weakness. One of the main themes this series follows through is the idea of self-sacrifice. Or in another term to look at it, the idea of sacrificing oneself for the greater good and to protect those in need. When put into this perspective and thought process, sure, it seems like a great and positive metaphor for someone to always do what is right and put yourself in harm's way to save people even if you are in danger in the process. If you are a hero, it's your sole responsibility to do whatever it takes to save people, even at the cost of your own life. As someone who values heroes to such a high regard, this core fundamental belief is what gives Deku the courage to put his body in harm's way to achieve victory and success in almost all of his important moments in the series. But it also has proven to be the source of his own self-destructiveness. Though All for One gives him incredible strength, the heavy toll he suffers from using it too much in a single instance constantly brings Deku closer to the brink of self-destruction of his own arms, causing him almost always unbearable pain and agony whenever his body takes a toll in using One for All. For Deku, it was his need to prove himself as a worthy successor to All Might and to become a hero he himself could be proud of that forces him to put his own body on the line in order to survive or succeed in any situation he came across throughout the series. From him breaking his arm to save Uraraka, to nearly destroying both his arms to try and defeat Todoroki during the school festival arc. Deku's own need to become the best hero he can be has shown to be a positive light in his growth and development, but it has also proven to be detrimental to his own body when he pushes himself too hard and nearly destroys it in the process. It's an aspect of Deku's character that, while admirable in itself that he would always risk so much to save people, it is also often criticized by other characters that he would nearly destroy his own body in the process. During his fight with Todoroki, Deku was prepared to bring his own body to the limit with the sole purpose of defeating him. Not just because he had a desire and need to surpass him and prove to himself that he was capable of being All Might's successor, but because he wanted to encourage Todoroki to leave behind the past he had and focus on the future he could walk on his own, without being haunted by his father's shadow. It's Deku's idea of self-sacrifice that pushes him to his very own limit to do whatever it takes to win, like All Might would. While it's this same determination that ultimately helps Deku achieve victory in the end, it also showcases one major flaw in the idea of self-sacrifice. And it's one that author Kohei Horikoshi displays by showcasing Deku being constantly injured by overexerting himself. That it's good to want to push yourself to your very limit, but without any consideration for your own health or body, it only serves as a step backwards than a step forward. that one must take care of themselves and their well-being in order to achieve great success, without the need of destroying oneself in the process. What makes this aspect of Deku's character so interesting is that not only does it showcase a flaw in Deku's mindset of self-sacrifice, but how it's those flaws that make him grow as a character as he learns from them. As someone who knows how it feels like to be powerless and nearly having his dreams crushed, it makes Deku all the more determined to try the best he can to quickly master One for All and to try and become the strongest hero he can be. Deku isn't invincible, and even though he has bestowed upon him a power that gives him incredible strength, he still has a long way to go before he can completely master it.
Recovery Girl performed some pretty strong healing on your arms while you were unconscious, so you should be able to move them around fairly well. But they were seriously messed up. You've done absurd damage to your body the last few months. And frankly, this is a whole new league of trauma. I took a close look at your charts. Your past injuries were bad. Splintered bones and ripped muscles that were painful, sure, but could eventually be repaired. This time, the damage was devastating. If you sustain this type of injury, even just 2 or 3 more times, I don't think you're going to be able to move your arms anymore.
In shonen anime, there are specific arcs in particular that are so important to a main character's development that it's one of those arcs where it showcases how far they have come and how much they have developed as characters. And I think the arc that best summarizes this concept for Deku is the training camp arc, specifically his fight with Muscular. What I loved about this fight and why I think it's one of the best defining moments for Deku's character is not just because it was an overall awesome fight to watch, but because of what this fight represented. In the beginning of this arc, Deku meets a young boy named Koda, someone with a deep animosity and dislike of heroes. This is one of the first instances where Deku sees the distrust some normal citizens have for some heroes, and the overall hero association altogether. It was something that he learned in the Stain arc, where he first encountered someone whose distrust in a hero society turned him into an anti-hero killer, who left devastation and chaos in his wake. That there are people who view heroes not as these larger-than-life super individuals who save people, but as individuals who work only for money and fame. Though the reason for Koda's distrust for heroes stems more of the fact that his parents, whom were also heroes, were killed by a supervillain when he was just a small child. Koda doesn't see any reason on why anyone would want to become a hero in the first place if all that would await them is danger or death. He blames the concepts of hero and justice for taking away his parents when he was young, and saw the idea of heroes in society as ludicrous or ridiculous. Having Deku meet someone like Koda, who has a complete opposite opinion on the hero society overall, not only broadens his worldview on how people view heroes, but presented a challenge for him to change Koda's mindset not just through words alone, but through action, which makes his fight with Muscular all the more important. For the first time ever, we see Deku face off against an actual powerful villain all on his own. In previous arcs, Deku would have his friends to help him fight off against enemies that he couldn't handle all by himself. Now, we see Deku having to bear the responsibility of finding someone who could potentially kill him and having to also save the life of one person. It's this fight that really shows the stakes that are placed and gives off a sense of danger that we never really saw present in Deku's previous fights. But more so than that, it's this battle where we see how far Deku has come since the beginning of the series, where we see him really embody what it means to be a hero. As he continues to push himself to his absolute limits, he continues to barely even combat against Muscular and is mostly on defensive. But what makes him keep going and not give up is the fact that as a hero, he has a responsibility to make sure that this one life is saved. If he were to call himself a full-fledged hero, then regardless of the consequences, he would save this boy no matter what. This defining moment in Deku's character demonstrates how far he has come since he started his journey, where he began as this wide-eyed child idolizing heroes because of how they were able to create hope in moments of despair, to finally filling in the role of a true hero. Like All Might, he had to demonstrate that in times of crisis, when all seemed lost, a hero would always find a way to turn a situation around and make things alright. If there was someone in need of help, you give them a smile and tell them everything will be okay. If hope seems lost and your back is against the wall, you push on through and make the impossible possible. It's this fight that showcases what I love about Deku's character. Even when he faces off against someone clearly far superior to him in terms of strength, what gives Deku the power to continue fighting isn't just One for All, but his desire and need to protect and save people. Through action, he was able to instill hope into a young boy and make him have hope that there were good people in the world who would be able to fight for justice and who would showcase what true heroism is about, something that Deku embodies fully. In this moment, he truly became the hero he had always dreamed about. What makes Deku a great character stems from not only how he embodies what true justice and heroism really means, but how in a lot of ways he represents the concept of following your passion regardless if people tell you it's impossible. He started out as someone who didn't have a quirk and was looked down upon by those who saw his efforts in becoming a hero as childish or unrealistic. But regardless, it was his passion and determination to not give up that made him keep going and move forward. He's the type of character you want to root for to succeed and cry for when he doesn't. He's someone who represents that, yeah, you don't need to come from anything special to do great things, and that the essence of what makes a true hero isn't how strong you are, but in your ability to inspire hope onto others. I realize that the concept of an underdog isn't uncommon in shonen anime, but it's how Deku presents himself not only as a hero, but as a person that really makes me want to love the little guy. He works hard to achieve his goal, he is kind to everyone he meets, and he dedicates himself to the betterment of others. Because to him, that's what any hero would do. And if he could save lives like his mentor, and become the hero he always dreamed of when he was a kid, then it's a goal worth striving for. Because that's what Deku would do. And because that's what a hero would do.